Staying in Cape Town, the upmarket nightclub Saint caused a stir when it advertised tables for large sums over New Year's Eve. Some patrons have also been complaining about minimum spends required at other venues. Let's speak now to Wendy, the CEO of South Africa's Restaurant Association, the Restaurant Association of South Africa. Wendy, outlets, preparing for big events like New Year's Eve or perhaps Christmas, insisting on a minimum spend. Is that industry standard, and is it justified?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting us. We certainly see this as a massive international trend that's been following through, that's caught on quite swiftly into South Africa. The past years certainly have set a tone for difficulty in terms of a lot of patrons making reservations and bookings at restaurants not following through or bringing less guests. And I think in light of where we've been over the last couple of years, and trying to recover our businesses, it's been set the precedent for some top-end restaurants and some of those exclusive restaurants to really set this disclosure and to be open about it as a minimum fee or a booking table. And in some cases, there has been the extremity like there was with the New Year's pricing that was put on some of those tables.
Of course, with an event like that, you need to provide fresh produce, you've got to stock up your bar, you need to ensure that you have sufficient staff, there may be a higher head count than on other nights of the year. And so those are all things that would probably feed into the thinking around a minimum bar tab spend, let's say, or table spend. But how does the industry regulate this? I mean, R1 million, Saint was saying that's justified or commonplace in terms of expenditure in a night for some patrons throughout the year. Is there any sort of protocols around working out those fees, or is it really up to the owner of the outlet?
It's definitely up to the owner of the outlet, and what we need to make very clear with the consumers that it needs to have firm disclosure. So any of the restaurants that are charging minimum spend charges or who are putting together packages, and it's been a trend that's really moved forward throughout the year, in terms of wine pairing or fine dining or set menus or set courses or buffets. It's always been there, but not in the extremity as it's been. And I think it's very, very important that full disclosure is always given in terms of what you're getting and the provisions as well, providing the terms and conditions. We certainly see that the reservation platforms become quite sophisticated in terms of the bookings with these minimum spends with booking agents.
Wendy, just lastly, in terms of working out those numbers and then organizing these reservations, have you seen a shift in moving away from set menus, for example, to simply having minimum spends which have an allocation for drinks, platters, whatever, and then there's some freedom for the person booking to choose what they would like within that package?
Look, I think for the first time in the history of restaurants since COVID, we can certainly say it's very exciting times for the South African restaurant industry. And we see the development of very, very many new menus and innovation that goes into effect with that. And one must also bear in mind that we have preparation that needs to take place. There's staff that needs to be employed. There's product that needs to be sourced. There is rental that needs to be paid. And as we've learned over the last years, that the landlord hasn't been very supportive of the recovery of restaurants as well as their debt. And it is really just a way of being able to present an opportunity for those patrons to come in and enjoy it at a minimum spend, and for the restaurant to measure and cover their overheads. I think the relationship is very neutral, and I think it's very fair on both parties if it's properly disclosed to say, look, these are the number of tables that we're opening, this is what you're going to be getting for the value of your money, and this is what the experience will be offering you, whether it's entertainment and dining, or whether it's dancing and dining, whether it's a bar, whether it's food, whether it's pairing, whether it's a set menu or a fine dining or nouveau cuisine. I think as long as there is a degree of transparency and the patron is happy to pay to be in an exclusive environment, I think that is very, very fair in terms of that. One thing we need to take heed of is that we have, landscape in South Africa for some of the most beautiful international restaurants. And eating out in South Africa on an international trend comes at a fraction of the price of what it would cost on the international market. And we certainly see that as the worldwide trend set forward, with these minimum spends and exclusivity going to certain places, that it is becoming much more fashionable. But it's been very, very exciting for the industry over this holiday season. What started off to be very unpredictable, land up really being very innovative, and a lot of pivoting with a lot of restaurants. and it is still most affordable to eat out in South Africa than what it is to make your own food.
And I suppose the other thing is they can only charge as much as people are willing to pay. So if there are patrons who are willing to put down a bar in order to book a table for New Year's Eve, then so be it. Wendy Albert, CEO for the Restaurant Association of South Africa, thank you for your time.